This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. And that's 'cause I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez. It's October 3rd, 2024, and today is episode 22 of our Haunted America series. We're diving into Michigan, the Great Lakes state, known for its breathtaking scenery and rich history. But beneath its natural beauty, Michigan holds countless tales of restless spirits and haunted locations. It's starting to get cold outside, guys, so come on in to the Halloween Podcast Funmobile. I got the heater going, and let's head to the state of Michigan. Our first stop is one of the most iconic landmarks in Michigan, the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Opened in 1887, this massive elegant hotel has hosted presidents, celebrities, and high society since its opening. The island itself has a rich history, dating back centuries to when it was a sacred place for Native American tribes. The Grand Hotel's sweeping view of Lake Huron may be stunning, but behind its luxurious facade, there are tales of ghostly visitors. One of the most frequently reported ghosts is that of a woman dressed in Victorian-era clothing. She's often seen descending the grand staircase late at night, her shoes softly tapping on the floor. Some believe she's the spirit of a woman who worked at the hotel during its early days. Guests staying in certain rooms have also reported waking up to find a man standing at the foot of their bed, dressed in military attire from the 19th century. He's believed to be a soldier from the War of 1812, which saw battles fought near the island. On stormy nights, some have even heard the faint sounds of horses' hooves echoing through the halls, though no carriages have been on the island in over a century. The Grand Hotel is open to the public, offering tours, luxury accommodations, and a chance to stay in one of Michigan's most haunted locations. Next, we head to Detroit and visit the historic Whitney Mansion, a striking example of Romanesque revival architecture built in 1894 by David Whitney Jr., one of the wealthiest lumber barons of his time. Whitney was known as the Lumber King, and this opulent 21,000 square foot mansion reflects his immense wealth. After Whitney's death, the mansion was used as a private residence and eventually became a restaurant, but it seems the spirits of the past have never left. The ghost of David Whitney himself is often seen in the mansion, especially in the elevator, which was installed after his death. Guests report feeling a cold breeze in the elevator, followed by the sensation of someone standing next to them. His wife, Sara, who died before him, is also believed to haunt the house, and guests have reported seeing her reflection in mirrors throughout the mansion. The second floor, where the family once lived, is said to be the most active. People have heard the sounds of footsteps pacing the empty rooms and doors slamming shut without explanation. There's also the unsettling sound of a woman sobbing faintly from the library, where many believe Sara spent her final days grieving. The Whitney Mansion is now an upscale restaurant and is open to the public, where guests can enjoy fine dining in one of Detroit's most haunted buildings. Our next stop is Fort Wayne, located along the Detroit River. Built in 1845, this fort was constructed to protect Michigan from British invaders during heightened tension after the War of 1812. Over the years, it became a vital military outpost, serving through the Civil War and both World Wars. The fort's long military history and tragic events have given rise to numerous ghost sightings. The most commonly seen apparition is that of a young soldier, often spotted patrolling the grounds. His uniform is that of the Civil War era, and some believe he died during training exercises at the fort. Visitors have reported hearing the faint sounds of military drills, marching feet, bugle calls, and even the occasional shout of a drill sergeant, though the grounds have been silent for decades. The most chilling encounter involves the spirit of a woman dressed in a white gown, believed to be the wife of a soldier who died on the battlefield. She's often seen wandering near the barracks, weeping softly and calling out for her husband. Fort Wayne is open to the public for tours, especially during Halloween when ghost tours are held. This allows visitors to explore the haunted history of this Detroit landmark. Now we move to Traverse City, home to one of the most haunted locations in the state. The Traverse City State Hospital, also known as the Northern Michigan Asylum. Opened in 1885, this massive complex was designed as a refuge for the mentally ill, but like many asylums of its era, it became known for questionable treatments and tragic deaths. The hospital closed in 1989, but the spirits of former patients and staff seem to linger. One of the most unnerving areas is the hospital's underground tunnels, which were used to transport patients and supplies between buildings. Visitors to these tunnels have reported hearing disembodied voices echoing through the darkness, and some claim to have felt a hand brush against them, even though they were alone. The most famous ghost is known as the Drifter, a former patient who died after wandering the grounds at night. His shadowy figure has been seen near the hospital's entrance, silently watching visitors before disappearing. There have also been reports of ghostly nurses seen walking the old corridors, pushing empty wheelchairs as if still tending to their patients. While the hospital has been partially renovated, it is now part of the village at Grand Traverse Commons. Guided tours of the haunted portions of the hospital are available to the public. Next, we head into Michigan's Upper Peninsula to visit one of the state's most enduring paranormal mysteries, the Paulding Light. For over 50 years, residents and visitors have reported seeing a strange, unexplained light appearing in the sky just outside the small town of Paulding. This light, which can be seen at night, has no clear origin and has baffled scientists and paranormal investigators alike. According to the local legend, the Paulding Light is the ghostly lantern of a railroad brakeman who was tragically killed while trying to stop a runaway train. Witnesses describe the light as a glowing orb that moves slowly through the valley, hovering and then fading away before reappearing. Some have even reported hearing the faint sound of a train whistle as the light appears. While skeptics attribute the light to distant car headlights, those who have experienced it firsthand swear it has an outwardly presence. Many visitors have felt an eerie calm wash over them just before the light appears, as if they're being watched by unseen eyes. The Paulding Light is visible to the public, and visitors often gather at the designed viewing spot to try and catch a glimpse of this mysterious phenomenon. Now we travel to Kalamazoo, where we find the grand and imposing Henderson Castle, built in 1895 by wealthy businessman Frank Henderson. This beautiful Queen Anne-style mansion is perched atop a hill, offering stunning views of the surrounding areas. But behind its elegant appearance, Henderson Castle is home to numerous ghostly residents. The spirit of Frank Henderson himself is said to roam the halls, still keeping watch over his beloved home. Guests have reported seeing him standing in the tower room, gazing out over the city. His wife, Mary Henderson, has also been spotted walking through the garden, dressed in her finest clothes, as though she's attending a grand ball. One of the most frequently encountered spirits is that of a young girl who is often heard giggling in the hallways and playing with the castle's antique toys. Some guests have even reported hearing her singing lullabies late at night. The castle's wine cellar is known for its paranormal activity as well, with bottles moving on their own and the sound of footsteps echoing in the darkness. Henderson House is open to the public as a bed and breakfast, restaurant, and event space, where guests can enjoy a luxurious stay and maybe encounter one of its ghostly inhabitants. Our next stop takes us to Grand Rapids and the Michigan Bell Building. Built in the 1920s, this building served as the headquarters for Michigan Bell Telephone Company for decades. But the land it was built on holds a dark secret. Before the Bell Building was constructed, it was home to a mansion where one of Grand Rapids' most infamous murders took place. In 1910, Warren Randall, a railroad brakeman, was found dead in his home alongside his wife Virginia, who had been brutally murdered. It's said that Warren, driven mad by his injuries from a railroad accident, killed Virginia before taking his own life. Since the Bell Building was constructed, employees have reported strange occurrences. Phones in the building have been known to ring, even when disconnected, and some workers have heard the faint sound of a woman's voice pleading for help. In the basement, people have felt a cold presence and heard the sound of chains dragging across the floor. These sounds are believed to be Warren's ghost, still tormented by his violent actions. While the Michigan Bell Building is no longer open to the public, stories of its hauntings have persisted for decades. Next, we visit the Felt Mansion, a sprawling estate in Saugatuck, built in 1928 by inventor and businessman Dorr Felt. This mansion was constructed as a summer home for Felt and his family, but after the sudden death of his wife, Agnes, just weeks after moving in, the mansion gained a reputation for being haunted. Visitors to the Felt Mansion have reported seeing the ghostly figure of Agnes Felt walking through the halls, her pale figure moving from room to room as though she's still overseeing the house. Some have heard her footsteps on the grand staircase, followed by the faint scent of roses believed to be her favorite flower. There are also reports of doors slamming shut on their own and lights flickering in empty rooms. One of the more chilling encounters comes from the mansion's attic, where visitors have heard the sound of children laughing and playing, though no children are present. The Felt Mansion is open to the public for tours, events, and weddings, offering a glimpse into both its luxurious history and its lingering paranormal activity. Now we head to Westland, where the Eloise Asylum stands as one of Michigan's most infamous haunted locations. Once a massive complex with over 70 buildings, Eloise was originally built in 1839 as a poorhouse before elevating into a psychiatric hospital in the early 20th century. Like many asylums of the era, it became notorious for its overcrowding and harsh treatments. The spirits of former patients are said to haunt the remaining structures. Visitors often hear disembodied screams and cries echoing through the empty halls. The most common apparition is that of a nurse dressed in a 1930s uniform who is seen walking through the halls, her footsteps silent as she moves. Some guests have reported feeling a sudden coldness wash over them, followed by the sensation of being watched. The asylum's tunnels, used to transport patients between buildings, are filled with an oppressive energy, and many who explore them feel uneasy. One of the most unsettling reports comes from a security guard who saw a wheelchair moving on its own down the hallway, only to stop abruptly as if someone invisible was sitting in it. Though Eloise Asylum is mostly abandoned, it offers seasonal ghost tours, allowing brave visitors to explore its haunted halls. Our final stop is the Holly Hotel, located in the small town of Holly, Michigan. Built in 1891, the Holly Hotel has served as a social and cultural hub for over a century. Despite its charming Victorian architecture, the hotel has been the site of several devastating fires, including one in 1913 and another in 1978, both of which left behind more than just charred wood and ashes. The most commonly seen ghost is that of a former hotel owner, Mr. Hurst, who ran the hotel in the early 1900s. His spirit is often seen in the lobby, wearing his trademark long coat and top hat, greeting guests with a polite nod before disappearing. Guests have also reported seeing a young woman in a floral dress, believed to be a former maid who perished in the 1913 fire. Her figure has been spotted cleaning the tables in the dining room and moving through the hallways late at night. The kitchen is known for its strange activity, with objects moving on their own and the faint smell of cigar smoke filling the air, even though smoking is not allowed. The ghost of a former cook is believed to be responsible, still keeping watch over his beloved kitchen. The Holly Hotel is open to the public as a restaurant and event venue, and visitors are welcome to explore its haunted past. And there you have it, folks, our eerie journey through 10 haunted locations in the state of Michigan. I hope you're enjoying our Haunted America series as we count down to Halloween with a new batch of spooky stories for each of the 50 states. If you've been loving the Halloween podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to your podcasts. Your feedback helps us reach more fellow ghost hunters and Halloween lovers. If you have any questions, comments, or want to suggest anything for a future show, don't be shy, send me an email to halloweenpodcast@gmail.com. If you're curious about these haunted locations or want to explore them further, check out the show notes. I've included all of the addresses and a little bit more information. Want to show your support for the Halloween podcast? Head on over to our website, thehalloweenpodcast.com, and take a peek at our merch store. We've got stickers, shirts, postcards, and more to help you celebrate the spooky season in style. All proceeds go towards production costs and keeping the scares coming, so your support truly means a lot. And don't forget to join us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehalloweenpodcast. Give the page a like to stay up to date with all things Halloween and paranormal. And come back tomorrow as we continue our Haunted America series in Minnesota. We'll uncover more haunted history and paranormal experiences. Until next time, guys, stay spooky, and I will see you then. Have a good night.